Hello, FORTituders. Welcome back to the, what is this, about the 18th, 19th show?
He must have put that kick drum, like, man, I'm going to crank this kick drum on 11 on this track. You know he's a drummer. That's probably why.
Yes. What now is more apparent to me is you weren't listening to a single thing I just said. But
no.
That's okay.
It gets old, you know.
We're glad to be here. What I have to say doesn't mean a damn bit of difference, but we have a good guest today, Brinton.
First of all, the weather around this Fort Worth is much like my mood swings.
Yes,
I mean, you talk
that.
about hot and cold. You know, yesterday or the day before was just fantastic.
How are you handling the heat wave that's hit us all of a sudden?
If I acclimate, if I have a few days to acclimate, so today's not a good day, but in a few days when I've acclimated, no problem. I can adjust. It just takes me a little time and effort to do so.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any family trips planned?
We do. I have a younger brother who lives in Montana.
So let me tell you about myself real quick. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Brinton.
Well, Montana is a recluse's paradise, and that is what my younger brother is.
You're going to visit.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. I don't. You know this because you know McGee, but the phone conversation McGee sounds a little bit like this. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing much, McGee. Got a lot of stuff going, getting ready for the podcast stuff. All right. I was just seeing what you're doing. Okay, yeah. What's going on up there in Montana? Nothing, just working at the bar. Oh, all right. You busy? Yeah, we were slammed the other night. We had 6 people in here.
Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?
What?
We need to get him on the show.
Oh, I tried when he was in town before.
Well, based on what you just told me, I think our listeners are
He wants nothing to do with it.
Excited about this, but
So we're going to go see him. What are you going to do?
we're going to Colorado next week on a off-the-grid type trip. We're going to take this fishing trip on a little rubber boat with a guide, and it's in a canyon, the Black Canyon River, with my mother and stepdad and my kids and wife, who doesn't much appreciate the woods or nature like I might. We'll be sleeping on the side of the river in tents. So 3 days of that with out devices is very exciting for someone in my position.
Yeah, the place we're going is kind of deviceless too, and it's crazy how much you pay to get away from devices.
Somehow I think my wife, or excuse me, my daughter will figure out how to TikTok in this situation, which is damn near impossible. But the girl, TikTok is a big player in her life right now. The boy, fishing is all that matters. So we'll be good there. But
I think that'll be sweet, man. Though, like you guys will get to know each other again really well.
That was the whole point. So thank you for
with your mom right there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's always helpful for the marital
She's
relationships.
staying in our tent, so it should be good there. Yeah.
Susan?
Yes.
Okay.
Brinton, today's guest, we got a good one.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we say that about everybody. This guy's the epitome of cool. He's probably one of the more up and coming artists in this town. I think people call him Abraham Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened to his stuff?
I have.
Very soulful, very cool, smooth vibe.
Yeah, he's got a little connection to another guy around here, doesn't he? Who kind of busted out with a lot of that soulfulness a few years back.
The story. We're gonna push on that a little bit. See if he can tell us some roommate news. His roommate happens to be a guy by the name of Leon Bridges. So
yeah,
we'll get to that if we can. This is about him though. This isn't about Leon. I'm
right.
sure he has to draw a line a little bit. But.
So you're telling me not to ask him that? I got you.
But October 6th, he's playing Red Rocks. Leon's playing, and Abraham, our guest, will be opening for him at Red Rocks. So,
no kidding?
And guess what? I'm going.
Are you already going?
We've already got tickets, yes.
Who are you going up there with?
We're going with another couple we're friends with. The Surratts, Donnie and Julie Surratt.
Well, I was going to offer up that I have a connection in there, and my brother lives in Denver, another brother, so I might just see you there.
That could be amazing.
Yeah, it really could. All right, so we'll get him on. We'll get him going.
All right, next up, Abraham Alexander.
The words have gotten all distorted. But what they meant to say was not reported. Before the torches come to town, we gonna burn this fort down. Slow down, babe.
All right, FORTituders. We have in the studio with us the greatness of Abraham Alexander. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks for being here. Is that a Moog synthesizer that's up there on that? The beginning of that?
Good.
I could pick that out. The warmth of that thing.
Are you in music?
Yeah, I'm into music.
Okay.
Pedal steel guitar. It doesn't really lend itself
Here
to the
goes
Moog
Abraham.
synthesizer.
Oh my!
You got him started now.
Oh man!
Well, we can just silence Abraham's mic. Let's talk to Brinton now.
Hey!
Anyway, thank you for being here. It's a privilege to have you on the show with us, and you're going to sing for us a little bit here after the show, after the interview. Before we get in too deep to your life, you're born in Athens, Greece.
Born in Athens, Greece. Crazy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. You immigrated here at about the age of 10 years old, correct? To Fort Worth?
Arlington.
Arlington, okay. You attended Arlington Lamar High School.
Yes.
You are one of 9 siblings, you told us.
One of 9.
Can you name them all?
Probably not. No, let's go. There's Samuel, David, me, Emmanuel, Jensen, Draco, Colton, June, and Xavier.
How many live in the life you're living right now?
6 of them.
Yeah. But doing like what you're doing, nobody, right? You're the only musician
no one,
like
no
this?
One. Yeah, no one, which is insane because I didn't really want to do music at all. Like sports was my thing, and I'm thinking about going into medicine. And my birth dad played music, phenomenal guitar player, phenomenal piano player.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but like we didn't have the best relationship, and I didn't want anything to do with it.
Was this man Greek, your birth dad?
Yes, yeah. And but I was like, you know what? I'm not my thing. I just love sports, and I want that to be my cross that I take in a sense, and or champion or whatever you want to say. And
What do you think happened there? How did it? I mean, was there something that happened that pivot took place, like a little bit of letting go, forgiveness kind of thing? Like what kind of transpired?
A compilation of a few things. One, I tore my ACL playing college ball.
Mm-hmm.
And
where'd you play ball?
Texas Wesleyan,
and
here in Fort Worth.
Talking soccer.
Yes, yes.
Not table tennis, because we know we've talked about the table tennis team.
Table tennis.
Yeah, it's
at
huge.
Texas Wesleyan
Big
is insane.
Yeah.
It's like UT football.
Serious?
It's I'm not kidding. Like that table tennis will pack the gym more than a basketball. Like they've won NAIA championships, but.
Is it the most exciting thing? Like I can only imagine being in a live situation and watching that table tennis like that.
I would see them practice, and it's the most fascinating thing ever. Like you think you're decent at table tennis until you see them be like 5 feet away from the table,
right,
and just smack that thing, and the next person recover and send it right back to them.
Yeah,
and you're just like, how?
Yeah,
it's insane, and like they go to the Olympics and they win and they come back, and I'm like, it's wild.
Yeah,
Brinton, that's cool.
Brinton had the privilege of telling Coach Rather, Jasna Rather over there, that he played the pedal steel. So we had some good.
I share it with only the select few who I feel most comfortable with.
I
on
love
the
that.
show.
I love it. Yeah, we'll have to collaborate on something now.
So
thank you. That has been recorded.
You heard it here.
But we'll pull that out for
I'm going to go. Abraham's lawyers. No, listen. I have the tapes that state he wants me on this. I mean, what did you understand?
Excellent. So you tore your ACL at Wesleyan playing soccer.
Yes.
When did music start for you in a more professional fashion?
So this would have been in 18, 17, 18. I was just like, you know what, let's do it. So cool. I'll digress on the story, but I had an opportunity to go to London with the guys here from here Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And they were showcasing, and I had released a song called America, and went there, and this label from London heard it, and they immediately reached out and like, hey, you were just here in London. Would you be interested in coming back and doing a few sessions and working at Abbey Road, and seeing if you like us and we like you, and kind of go from there. And that was really, because before it was just, I don't know if it's what I want to do. Like, I just love doing it. I love writing and creating different, in a different way. But that was the moment that it like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
This is a possibility.
Well, you get contacted by a record label. That doesn't happen to everybody. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't happened with me, but I'm just saying a lot of people don't experience that. Okay.
Man, it was such a blessing, And
did you have a manager and stuff when you went over there? Like,
No.
it was that informal. You
No.
just went over with the group and you were like, I'm going to do this. And then here you go. It happened that quickly.
Just like that. Yeah. Just, I mean, there were, waiting to hear responses and this and that, but it was pretty instant. And for that, I'm grateful for that story. And to go back to, London, where it's not where I was born, but Europe is kind of home for me.
Yeah.
And to go back and discover myself, the second part of life for me, and discover that in the country, and being a foreigner but still being a native, and having all those blends, and it was a beautiful experience.
How old were you at that time?
I was 27.
Yeah. And it was before then the world kind of got all crazy, right? Like you think about that in just a world context, it's like, what a beautiful time to have been there too.
You know what, it is. It's like, thinking about it too, it's like, man, I just had this awesome, to be honest, like it sucked. One, going to London and saying, okay, this is what I want to do, in 17, 18, 19, going on tour for the first time, releasing music. And then in 20, thinking like, man, I just did all this groundwork. It's about to like go up in flames, in a sense, like in the best way. And COVID.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's just, again, it's the journey, and that's the thing that I can talk about and look back on and say that if that didn't shake me, then this is for real, and this is what I'm meant to do, and I should keep pursuing it.
Yeah, your music talks about some of these journeys. I know this. Do you have musical inspirational folks in your life? Who do you emulate or want to emulate in your musical life?
Man, I want to be as authentic. Exactly. Brinton lifestyle. I want to be as authentic to me as possible, but I definitely draw inspiration from artists like Gary Clark Jr., John Legend, Leon Bridges, who's from here, Paul Simon, phenomenal writer. There's so many artists that I love and I draw from, and that inspire me. And one of them gave me the best advice, is like, they never had a plan B.
Yeah.
And if like success wasn't even a thing for them, it was just, they knew that this was what gave them life, and made them feel alive. And so if that's the same for you, the success is going to come.
So, you got those beautiful songs like the one we kind of opened in with, but then you got like 335 in America. So what happens to Abraham, and where does he sit in writing those two contrasting kind of emotions, right? So much kind of love-filled, like that aspect, this real soft side of you, and then this really kind of torqued up side. So take us through that. Yeah,
it was, especially with 335 and me being in London, I was like, am I trying to be like someone else? And I had that fear of, am I going to turn up the same way that he did? And writing that song helped me drop that baggage and drop that weight. And it's emotional for me, and I'm sure you can hear it within the song. And America, at the same time, I wrote it in 2016 after the shooting happened in Dallas. And I was just trying to figure out a way for me to use what I had to make sense of everything. And so sometimes when you don't have words, songs, make sense of things. And that was kind of what came about.
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier, COVID. How did your COVID year? You talked a little bit off air about this, but how did the COVID year affect you? How did you survive it? You're obviously applying your craft to the world in a progressive state. Excuse me. But how did you survive last year?
It was rough. Few events that took place last year, but in the beginning of it, I was like, all right, it's going to be 2-3 months, and it's like it'll be a nice little vacation, and I can relax.
Got old fast, didn't it?
Oh my God! I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write a few songs, and then it was like I wasn't getting out of bed.
Yeah,
it was just it, and then to put the cherry on top, I ruptured my Achilles, and so it was just one beating after the next and after the next. But I spent a lot of time with my family, and that was my saving grace. Was them and their love. And
That's your mom, and are you married with kids, or is this
no,
okay?
Yeah, this is my parents and my siblings, not
Yep.
married. And so just, they just got a new house out in Benbrook, and got the whole pool going on. And so all my friends that were kind of social distancing, like we would get together for like 2-3 weeks and be together and try to, play games or whatever it was to kind of lift our spirits up. And so, and there were bonds that were solidified because of those things. And we celebrated our birthday together. And
were you all done up like with the heel, like at that time? Were you on
so this
IR?
is kind of in and out.
Yeah.
Towards the end, yeah, because it was Christmas time. It happened in November, and so Christmas, like we're all celebrating, and I'm there with my little scooter riding around. New Year's Day, I took my first step, like on the boot, and that's when it snowed. It like snowed here in Texas on New Year's Day, and it was, snow melting. Significant. The significance of that is just new beginnings, and so it was definitely that for me, to where I was like, man, it's snowing, one purifying, and then melting of starting something new, and so it just really just gave me such a joy, like, whatever happened, like it happened, like let's get up, let's do something, let's write songs.
Did you write a lot during that time?
I did, man. It was some of my best writing. And it's so funny, the correlation between pain and
I was about to ask if
creativity.
you were on some pain medicine at that time, which might have helped with the. No, I'm really kidding, but
honestly though, I didn't hold on to the pain meds because I wanted to feel it.
yeah.
It was just like I don't want to. Like I did for like 2 or 3 days, and then I was like, okay, I'm kind of done. Like I wanted to feel the pain. It's weird to say, because some people are like, oh, you're an idiot. Like, why would you want to feel the pain of Achilles? But it does something mentally to you, because of, like I was saying this off air, the days between the injury and my surgery date, there was a lot of mental battle that was going on.
Yeah. So tell us what was going on there.
One, just the condemnation that I was giving myself, and the fact of like, hey man, you haven't worked and you just did this to yourself. You're an idiot. Like it's not going to be this, just those.
And it was,
thoughts.
it was basketball, not soccer. What is up with that?
Exactly, man. And I was just like, why couldn't it be the sport that I love and I play? I would have felt better about myself probably. Probably not. My ego would have probably been bruised a lot more.
Yeah.
no lie. And so there was a lot of condemnation, but I was able to overcome that. And I think feeling the pain actually helped, because I first wanted to be numb, and now I'm actually feeling something. And also there was the pain, to me, signified that I was healing already. Instead of, man, I don't want to feel anything at all. I want to be numb. I don't want to get up. I should just lay in bed. But feeling that pain is like, man, if my leg, because at first I was like, my body failed me.
Yeah.
And that pain was like, nah, my body's trying to fight back and trying to heal. And so it was just switching those mentalities in my head, and switching that thought and switching my way of thinking. That really pushed me forward. So 2019 was an ebb and flow of ups and downs.
Well, we're glad you survived the ebbs and flows for sure.
Thank you.
Without spilling the beans, there will be a tour in your not too distant future.
Yes.
Will some of these new songs be on this tour?
Definitely. I would
Okay.
definitely be playing some of these new stuff on this tour, and I'm excited going with the band.
When will we find out the dates? When will that be announced?
Sometime in the near future.
Near future. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Reading between the
What
lines.
part
here.
of we're not supposed to ask that did you not hear before we started?
You tried to. That was good, though.
thought he'd slip up. And tell us something, so.
How did I
Nice
do?
try.
How did
Yeah.
I do? Yeah.
So Abraham, who is tell us the Truth to Power project. Can you tell us a little about that?
Man, that was a phenomenal collaboration that a group of artists did, and it was birthed through the pandemic of wanting to help, and George Floyd wanting to help just Black businesses and families that were affected by COVID, and just families, period, too. And it was just different artists either doing original work or doing covers, and just coming together and doing something bigger as a collective than we could have done by ourselves. And it's crazy. I think I just saw this right before coming here, that the album's charting on Billboard.
No kidding.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
That's cool.
Just with
Yes.
everyone.
What song's on there of yours?
I did Bridge Over Troubled Water by Paul Simon.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
It's such a, it's got that, it's a white boy doing gospel music.
Mm.
And to me, I would say he's top 5 best songwriters of all time.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
We don't disagree with you one bit.
Yeah.
So, also one of your songs, "America," made it on the documentary, the HBO documentary.
Yes.
The Day Sports Stood Still. That was very cool.
Oh man, so I released America in 2017, then took it down when I signed to the label and put it part of the package. But I spent, worked 2-3 months and spent all the money and poured it into I didn't have a band, I didn't have anything, so poured all the money into making this song. And just seeing the fruit that's come out of it, oh man, this is the first big sync, or just the first sync for that song, period.
Yeah.
And for it to be used in the way that I wanted it to be used, again, another blessing, and to HBO, which everyone wants to work with them, and to be a documentary about sports, just the world coming back together and overcoming something that the whole world went through.
Yeah.
Is what we write these songs for.
So, did you record that stuff here? You do recording here too, right?
I did. So America was done at Spaceway Studios right here in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And did it with a producer named Will Hunt. He's a freaking genius, man.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal dude, and wrote that song again in 17, and it was one of those, or wrote it in 16 after the shooting, produced it in 17. And it was one of the quickest songs that I've ever written, because it was just me just writing. I don't know if you can't see me. I'm writing. It was nonstop writing. And then once it was probably 20-30 minutes, and once I looked, I was like, the song's finished.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's a powerful tune.
So what do you think it is about what's going on here? We got this creative class that I think has been here and maybe not as exposed. What's happening in Fort Worth, Texas? Because you're not the first of your kind, and you're hopefully not the last that we'll have and talk about this.
I think Fort Worth is finally starting to realize the eclecticness that's around here. So they're seeing the colors. People are recognizing, one, this is not just Cowtown, and it's not just one lane. There are different avenues to go through, and perception becomes reality. Once you see someone make it, then everyone believes that they could do it themselves as well. And so just seeing more people come out and pursuing things and being successful, then everyone else is like, okay, we got it. We can make it. And the city and Betsy Price did a phenomenal job in spearheading projects that would put artists at a spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
South by Southwest in 2018 and 2019. And then they partnered with Bell Helicopter and did some incredible stuff, going to London. And so I think just people are believing that, one, my city's behind me,
Mm-hmm.
and two, my music doesn't have to be country. It doesn't have to be rock. It doesn't have to be blues.
Can you play pedal steel on something other than country, though?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah,
you don't have to
absolutely.
answer that, Abraham.
Absolutely. Man, I honestly just did pedal steel on one of my records.
Really? Who was the pedal steel player? Do you remember his name?
He was a noob. He did not know how to play pedal.
He's a young guy?
Yeah, young. Yeah, from North Carolina.
Yeah, that rules you out then.
Well, because we're going to get my instructor on here he said, you got to find more young guys, man. No, we're worried our instrument's going to die. Nobody plays pedal steel.
I would love to learn. I'm a noob on slide guitar.
Oh, yeah. You got to.
Done.
Now I got a new
So
friend.
We're wrapping up the portion of the show where we just talk.
Yes.
But the cool part about this connection that I wanted to share is that I had trouble connecting with Abraham before, and we happen to share a mutual friend, the police chief,
Yes.
Neil Noakes. And I was with Neil, and he's a friend of the show. He's been on the show, and your name came up, and he's like, "Hey, hang on a sec." Text him at the dinner table, and before we know it, we're talking. Here you sit. So we want to shout out to Chief Noakes for hooking us up. He's a fan of yours.
I'm a fan of his.
As is Mayor Price and the new mayor, Matty Parker. We've talked about this during our times together. So
That's awesome.
You got some
Yeah.
friends in high places, which is very cool.
Well, I think to your point, the city's behind you. And
Yeah.
I mean, not that we're speaking all for the city, but the city does find a way to support what it's got, and they become the biggest fans of it. Look at TCU, and
Sure.
other institutions like Texas Wesleyan,
Yes.
that type of thing.
One of the shows we can talk about, this one is it's been released, but you're going to be in a place called Red Rocks, October 6th.
Yes.
I know this because I am going to the show. Yes.
And now that I know of it,
Yes.
my brother who lives in Denver, I may be sleeping on the couch that
That's
night.
very cool. So you'll be opening for Leon, one of your friends, which is very cool.
Yes.
Cool place to see a concert. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
I've never been.
Oh,
and for
boy.
the first time. Funny thing is, though, last year I made a bucket list of things that I wanted to do. Like, it was like, oh man, I just hurt myself, and now I'm gonna make a bucket list because
Yeah.
my life's
Yeah.
about to be over. But I made a bucket list, and I've knocked out 2 things in that 20 or 25 list.
Nice.
One is playing Red Rocks, and 2 is riding a horse.
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Where'd you ride the horse? Here?
Yeah, so I did the stables, Benbrook
Stables.
Oh,
Stables.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
How did that go for you?
I felt great, man. It was like I was meant to do it all my life. I was like, finally, I'm a Texan.
Kinda
That's
cool.
what, yeah,
For
that's
sure. For
What's
sure.
number 1 on your list?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
But I bet you could write a song like 22 Left or something like that, where you could just, when you hit those numbers. But good on you for going down 2 already. That's pretty admirable to set that goal and go after it.
I won't tell you number 1 because it's like knock on wood type thing. But I want to hit all the continents too. That's
Okay.
like on that list.
Very
yeah.
admirable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've already done a couple, right?
I have. Funny, I did Africa too, which was like insane. I was in Africa for like 2 days, 2 or 3 days. And then I had to come back here, play a show in 18 for the Visit Fort Worth people, and then fly out the very next day to London. And so it was
Very cool.
hey, man. Yeah, so almost there. I think I still need the Asias.
You need Antarctica. That's going to be a tough one, I think, because there are no shows being booked there that I know. COVID's still pretty heavy.
You never know about that. I mean,
Never know,
things can
right?
happen. We got
Exactly.
people going to the moon,
All right, last question for you, Abraham. This is our patented FORTitude question, but family aside, what was the best day of your whole life?
Man.
Let's go in further because you don't have kids and you're not married yet. So let's
No.
say family and special girlfriend, boyfriend type stuff. None of that stuff that counts.
You know what? I think was man,
The Benbrook Stables.
that was high. I want to say maybe Trust in Christ was probably
Look at you. All right.
Number 1.
Finally, somebody
Yeah.
speak. I think Deborah Peoples gave us the Christ answer as well. That was good. That's a
Yeah.
good answer.
Yeah.
I think that it was between that or being finding my family. But you said family's out. The whole adoption thing was pretty high up there. But
Very
but
godly man you
yeah.
are.
Oh
Good,
man,
good,
I don't know
good.
about all that. Yeah, I'm trying, man. But I think definitely finding my faith was a big day for me.
Very good. Well, Abraham, thank
That's
you for
awesome.
being here. It's
Yeah,
an honor.
thank
We
you
appreciate the time. And
so much.
Ready to go play a little couple songs for
Let's
us?
do it.
Thanks, man. Thanks
The
for
honor
joining
is all
us.
Thanks for
mine.
being here.
Absolutely.
Slow the boom down, baby. Don't wanna rush this feel. We've let this fire that's between us just burn cold steel. And now you said I am a liar, 'cause every word I sing, you've heard it from another. Oh, this is an old song I sing that's turned cold steel. Yeah. 'Cause we fight and we play in this lover's game. You cried, I tried, but things stayed the same. This is an old song I sing that's turned cold steel. Slow down, baby. Don't wanna rush this feel. Oh, don't let this fire that's between us burn cold steel. I know I am a liar, 'cause every word I sing, I sang it to another. Oh, this is an old song I sing that's turned cold steel. 'Cause we fight and we play in this lover's game. You cried, I tried, but things stay the same. This is an old song I sing that's turned cold steel.
Thank you.